Things just took a major turn for the Toronto Maple Leafs. We have multiple huge updates ahead of tomorrow night's massive game against the Panthers. And following a brutal decision by the NHL, a brutal hit by Sam Bennett, we finally have some clarity on Anthony Stolarz and his current situation and condition. We also have some wild quotes from the players, the coaching staff, and Sam Bennett himself, as well as Paul Maurice on the whole incident. The situation doesn't stop there. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, if you guys are a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. Your guys' support has been unbelievable. We will be live following tomorrow night's game, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Darius, a ton to go over today, and obviously we've been talking now. The big storyline of the past couple of days, mainly the past 24 hours or so, has been the brutal hit from Sam Bennett. We do have some clarity on the situation. There's a lot to dive into, so let's not waste any more time here. And of course, if you missed our video earlier this afternoon, go ahead and, you can check that out after this one. But Sam Bennett will face no supplemental discipline for his hit on Anthony Stolarz. The Maple Leafs likely saw this coming and won't let it distract them. Their focus remains on coming out strong in Game 2 and doing everything they can to take the series. Stolarz is currently resting, with a possible update expected later today. So you might see us again for a fourth video later tonight, depending on if the update happens. My guess would be an update will come tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon, even if they get it tonight. But Darius, this is interesting. And Craig Berube came out and said, will he play tomorrow? We'll see. Did he have a concussion? We'll see, which is a little bit crazy. I think that, if anything, this is a lot better than a lot of fans thought. It seems like, and we'll dive into some more comments by players and staff, there's a very real chance he returns this series. Probably not tomorrow, but they did not rule that out, which means there's absolutely at least a world where he plays tomorrow.
There's a chance he ends up playing tomorrow. I mean, this is really good news. I mean, again, I'm not a doctor or anything. I've been saying that the last 3 videos in a row. But if I had a concussion, I don't know if I would be at the rink the next morning having breakfast with the guys, which is another thing we'll get into in a little bit. Brandon Carlo coming out and saying that, we saw him at breakfast this morning. He was smiling, all of that. Again, if I had a concussion, I don't think I would be at the rink having breakfast. But it's good news, right? They haven't ruled him out for tomorrow yet, which I think is great news. Will he play? We're not sure yet. He might not, but it doesn't look like he might miss a significant amount of time. He could be back in the lineup as soon as Game 3, which is great news. So glad that he's feeling better. It wasn't anything too serious, it seems as if, at least. And looks like we're going to get an update soon. Again, like you said, I don't think it's going to be tonight or even this afternoon. I think at this point, it'll probably be tomorrow at morning skate. We know that the Leafs, went to the rink today. There was some media availability. They did skate a bit. So, or some of the guys skated for a little bit. So there was a little bit of that, but I think this is good news overall because, again, nothing serious. There was no, significant update or anything like that today. So probably just seeing how he feels progressing into tomorrow, if he can play, and take it from there. So I'm sure we'll get something tomorrow morning. Could still get something tonight. We'll see what happens, but overall, good news. I still can't believe that, Bennett wasn't suspended or even fined for that because, again, attend to injury. He's done this before. He's done that punch thing before to Marchand, even last year. We've seen it with Nyes, numerous other players. So a little bit ridiculous on that end, but I'm glad that the Leafs goaltender's feeling better.
Yeah, and we have a couple other pretty significant updates here, so let's go over this. He didn't rule out the possibility of Stolarz starting in Game 2. I don't know that yet. I'll probably find out later today, so I'm sure it's going to come down to whether or not he passes any concussion-like symptoms or any tests that he has. Because Brandon Carlo has come out and he said, he says here that he's doing well and mentioned seeing him at breakfast this morning. So I think in a world where he was definitely going to be ruled out for obviously Wednesday's game against Florida, he probably wouldn't have been smiling necessarily. I mean, from my experience of concussions as well, I just stayed in my bedroom with the lights off. So it's a good sign for Anthony Stolarz regarding that. At the same time, you don't really know. And they're not going to, clearly there's some sort of injury there, but maybe it was, and maybe all these things, shout out to Jim on our stream yesterday, maybe it was all just extremely precautionary. And we kind of have the timeline now following last night's incident. Stolarz did go to the hospital last night, but he's out and doing okay. He was at the Leafs breakfast this morning and had a smile on his face, according to teammates. More info about his status should be out soon per Craig Berube, including where he stands for tomorrow's game. And Sam Bennett texted him last night and said he didn't mean for it to happen. And regardless of his health, the Leafs also have full trust in Joseph Woll. So Sam Bennett did come out, which we'll dive into in a minute here, and said that there was no intent behind that. And I don't really believe it, especially given Sam Bennett's history. At the same time, you could make the argument that, hey, supposedly they were, good friends in Florida and that he wouldn't mean to do that. I'm not sure where you stand on this, Darius, but I think it was probably intentional, though I don't know. I don't know if his intent was to hurt Anthony Stolarz, the person. I think his intent may have just been to hurt the goaltender of the Toronto Maple Leafs, who are currently beating them 4-1 at the time of the injury.
hurt him or get him off his game, whatever it is, it was intentional. If you watch every replay and every angle that's available right now, that's it's intent to injure, and we know the player. Sam Bennett, in saying that, he's not going to come out at media availability and say, "Yes, I definitely meant to injure Anthony Stolarz." He's not going to say anything like that. But again, if you watch some of the replays, it was definitely intent to injure, and he did what he did. So again, no supplemental discipline for him. He's not getting suspended. You're on to game two. Hopefully Stolarz can play, but I think it's a bit ridiculous. And then him saying, all of that this morning, I think is, fine. They were teammates, they were friends and all of that, but I definitely think that he did mean to do it, and he's done it before. This player has not earned the benefit of the doubt from anybody at this point. This is what he does. This is his reputation. I would go on to say that it could even be the Florida Panthers' reputation at this point, but certainly Sam Bennett. So he has not earned the benefit of the doubt from anyone. So I think that he meant to do it. I do. And, there's a lot of speculation on where he actually sustained the concussion. One thing I know for sure, yes, he took that shot off the helmet in the first period, but he played after that for an entire period, half of another period. He had the intermission. He was fine. And then when obviously he got the forearm, the punch, whatever you want to call it, the elbow from Sam Bennett, after that, the first TV timeout, he was throwing up on the bench and was showing signs of a concussion. So that's what I know in terms of timeline.
Yeah, and obviously something to take out of this as well is that Chris Johnson said that the Leafs aren't going to be, pursuing further discipline on Sam Bennett or anything like that. They're just going to focus on winning game two, which is what you should do. You can't let it distract you too much. And he quickly declined to talk about the league not disciplining Sam Bennett. I moved on from it. I don't want to talk about it. It's over. And you have to have this mindset. The Leafs are up 1-0 in this series. If they can take care of business tomorrow, they are in an extremely favorable spot here, especially depending on how the health of Joseph Wall, or health of Anthony Stolarz, and of course Joseph Wall, health of all their goalies. Dennis Hildeby, we know, Matt Murray, I believe now is their third goaltender. Yeah. So if someone, which makes a lot more sense than Dennis Hildeby, they showed the camera of Hildeby yesterday. He looked absolutely terrified, which makes sense because I don't know if I'd be terrified if I was in his shoes too. Maybe it was just his way of getting ready. But again, according to all accounts here, he seems to be doing very well. The big telltale sign will be tomorrow. That's, practice. Of course, even if he's ruled out of tomorrow's game, which I think he will be, if he's out there skating or at least out there getting some work in, you can start to look for Thursday. You can start to look, for Friday. I'm missing all of them. Friday and then Sunday, because the Leafs obviously have a couple days in between there. So it's going to be interesting on that front. A couple other quotes here I want to dive into. This is from Paul Maurice. Most of it for me is tempered by the fact that Stoli is one of our guys. We love that guy. If I had thought that Sam and Crossline are an edge, I'd probably be more careful with my words. I just didn't think it happened. And let me be the first one to say, Paul Maurice, I respect him though. He would not, be careful with his words if Sam Bennett went out and had injured somebody, because guess what? He's done it a million times in the past. He said the exact same thing he always says. I think this is a complete cover up by Paul Maurice, and it's a little bit unfortunate there. I mean, he's not going to call out his player, especially in the midst of a playoff series. Everyone knows the intent behind it. The NHL is an absolute joke for not suspending Sam Bennett. I don't think it's just Leafs fans that think that. I think most fan bases of teams, think that. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But here's the man himself, Sam Bennett. I heard that he went to the hospital last night, and still he's a good friend of mine. Reached out to him, and he responded. Never want to see an injury like that. Yes, you do. From my point of view, I'm just taking the puck to the net. I didn't even know he made contact till after it happened. And maybe he didn't want to injure Stolarz to the point where he had to go to the hospital, whatever it ends up being. For him to sit here and say he never wants to see an injury, I mean, let's settle down a little bit. He constantly injures players. The Panthers constantly injure players, and I wouldn't be this frustrated if this wasn't a repeating occurrence. We saw it for the Lightning. It's the part of the Florida Panthers strategy. I'm not saying that Paul Maurice goes out there and says, hey, injure their players, but be extra physical. That teeters on the line. And if you're physical, that teeters on the line, eventually you're going to hurt somebody. And it's more so, it's on the players, of course. It's on the NHL and their, disgraceful player safety repercussions in the past. I'm not saying the people there are disgraceful, but their, results have been really bad. And it's led to this incident and many others.
I actually think that the quotes are actually kind of funny because, when you look at them, this is what the Florida Panthers do, right? Like they're going to punch you in the head. They're going to drive your head into the ice, give you a concussion. They're going to take out your players, and then they're going to turn around and pretend like nothing happened, right? It's almost like a narcissistic mindset with some of the quotes there where it's like, what do you mean? Nothing happened. I didn't do anything, right? So there's a lot of that going on, and they try to get like an emotional response from the other team that then puts the other team like on their heels, and then the other team maybe takes penalties and plays, dumb and all this. But that's basically their game plan. So I do appreciate that that's what they're trying to do. I hope that the Leafs, like Craig Berube said earlier today, they're not going to fall into that trap. They know exactly what they're doing. So I do like that response. But it all comes down to tomorrow. We'll see what happens. If Stolarz plays, if there is a response, I think that there should be a response to some point. I don't think like go out of your way and punch Sam Bennett in the head or anything like that and take a penalty. That would be dumb. But I think that, definitely ramp up the physicality, that's for sure. But continue to play your game, continue to stay composed, and I think it'll be fine.
Like obviously hit hard. Maybe Benoit will be the Ryan Reeves of tomorrow, but win the game. That's what matters most. And who cares about obviously the Stolarz stuff? Who cares about the Bennett suspension if they lose, if the Leafs win this series? Obviously, in the bigger scheme of things, that obviously matters. But if you're a Leafs coaching staff fan, you have to just focus on the game ahead. Let us know down below what your thoughts are on all this. It's been a ridiculous last little bit. We're going to have more videos coming for you all, so make sure to hit the subscribe button. See you later.